Yeah, well, it's been an incredible journey for you, I know, with so many great years of writing and producing, and here you are, the front man of a band that's got NIKKI SIXX more excited than Motley Crue. I mean, what a thrill! I just saw you at the iHeart Theater. Tell us about that evolution. Getting excited, getting that music bug yourself. Who were the artists growing up that just really influenced you to want to do this yourself?
Well, that's a good question, and actually it really ties into what our new record, Modern Vintage, is all about. When we sat down to make this record, we intentionally did not want to have something like a book, like we've done on the past two records. We wanted this one to stand on its own and really reveal to us who we've become as a band and what made us love music. So what we did is we went back and just looked at all of the artists and rock records and bands that inspired us and influenced us since we were kids. So we went back and looked at bands like Queen and Elton John and ELO and Bowie and all of those great rock records that took you on journeys and captured your imagination. And we drew on those influences. So it was a real learning experience for us because we kept on constantly during the making of this record being reminded of what our relationship has been with music throughout our lives. So it was a very, very kind of therapeutic experience for us to do that, and it ended up being a real celebration of what we love about music and what made us love rock and roll and what made us pick up instruments in the first place.
Well, I know that this relationship with NIKKI really has evolved over time because, like I say, rather than answer an ad and just be thrown into a band and try and make the magic happen, this has been years of development as a collaborator, as a writer, a producer, and evolving over the years. Like I say, with a lot of artists in common. You certainly have participated, with Motley Crue, and talk about the evolution of meeting NIKKI and creating this bond that has led to a foundation of this band unlike any other.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I think that I found that in my life and in my career, the moments that surprise you are always the ones that end up being the most defining and the most important. And you just can't plan for something like this. I moved out to California as a kid, as a teenager, and had dreams of becoming a rock star, and the vision that I had was so dramatically different than what ended up happening. And yet what ended up happening was such an incredible journey, the friendships that I've made, and just the path that it's led me down has been so unexpected and so special, and I would never want it to unravel or unfold in any different way than it did. So I met NIKKI back in, I believe, 98 or 99 when I signed a record deal with Beyond Music. I signed a solo record deal, and it was a label that NIKKI was in partnership with Motley Crue. So, and I made a solo record, and NIKKI and I would kind of pass each other in the halls of the label every once in a while, and he was always very friendly. And one day he pulled me aside and he said that he had listened to my solo record, Inhale, and was impressed by the songwriting on it and the production of it, asked me if I would be interested in writing for Motley Crue. And it was right around the time they were getting ready to write the record, which ended up being New Tattoo. So, of course, I was flattered by that and immediately took him up on his proposal. And we sat down and wrote maybe 2 songs the first day, ended up writing 6 or 7 songs, which ended up on New Tattoo, including the title track. And more importantly than anything, just discovered immediately that we had a real special creative bond together. And we also just became fast friends. And that's never changed. That was many, many years ago, and the friendship has just grown stronger and stronger and more intricate and more special over the years, and so has the creative relationship. So it's been quite a journey that none of us really planned. 6 a.m. really happened by accident, and here I am, after kind of giving up on the rock star dreams and becoming very, very passionate about the behind-the-scenes stuff, producing and writing and mixing for other artists. And then 6 a.m. happened, and lo and behold, all of those dreams are realized. And it's just been, I pinch myself every day. For this journey has been fantastic, and I couldn't have written it any better.
Well, tell us about, finding DJ ASHBA and what he brings to the equation to really complete the circle, that 6 a.m. makes.
Well, DJ is just a phenomenal guitar player. Ever since I've known him, I knew him for a couple of years prior to us forming 6 a.m., and I had hired him to do guitar stuff on records that I was producing in the past, and so we knew each other in the business, and he was such a unique guitar player. It was always important to him that he had a sound that was very unique to him, and over the years he's created a whole series of sounds and tones that I've only heard him capable of coming up with. And he's always been a phenomenal guitar player. But once he joined Guns N' Roses about 5 years ago, his guitar playing just went to the next level. So making this third record of ours was a thrill for me because, he went from being a great guitar player to being one of the best guitar players I've ever heard in my life. And he brings such an incredible passion for guitar work to the 6 a.m. table, and his abilities are so limitless that it really enables 6 a.m. to go in any direction we want to without any hesitation, without any limit. And I think that he's a perfect complement to what Nikki and I do, and it's just been a fantastic collaborative relationship with he and with Nikki.
Well, again, I know the modern vintage, title means a lot to you guys because, it's important to go back and draw from the greatest musical roots, of all time, but more importantly, to take it forward. These days we have a lot better technology and tools than artists in the 60s and even the 70s had. But what's important to you to find that balance between something classic and something for the future?
That's a great question, and I think it brings up other discussions about modern vintage. A lot of people have asked me, and you mentioned technology. A lot of people ask me, well, does this mean that you went back and you recorded on analog gear and you did all this? And the answer to that is no, not really. That was not what was important to us. A lot of bands have done that. Ever since digital music, recording came along, people have been going back to analog and trying to capture that quote-unquote warm sound because digital has had this reputation of being kind of strident and kind of cold sounding. Well, that wasn't really our focus on this. We were looking more at the spirit of how records were made back then, the spirit of how records were performed and how songs were written back then. And like I mentioned earlier, the idea of capturing an audience's imagination, both sonically and lyrically, and that's what was important to us. So we didn't want to make a record that just sounded like it was, old. We wanted to make a record that took that concept of that responsibility that artists used to feel to take people on a journey. That's what we wanted to bring into our music today, and then take advantage of technology, take advantage of these new abilities that we have in the recording studio. So that's really exactly what modern vintage means to us. It's taking the spirit of music from the past, but taking advantage of technology of now and of the future.
Well, it's such an exciting time as Nikki closes the chapter on the touring aspect of Motley Crue, which, sent him from childhood with dreams to, rock superstardom. And for him to be able to close that chapter and pour his heart even more into 6 a.m. in the future, what does that mean to you to have such a creative force who's now becoming more and more focused, on your band?
Well, the three of us have had a lot of conversations about that, and it's a very exciting time for us and for 6 a.m. And of course, it's bittersweet. It's sad to think of a world without Motley Crue, of course, but it does mean that it's going to open up a lot of time for all of us to bring 6 a.m. more to the forefront of our lives. And that's thrilling for us, and we couldn't be happier about that. And in fact, about halfway through the making of Modern Vintage, we already started talking about making a fourth record. So we feel that 6 a.m. is just scratching the surface and just getting started. So as Motley Crue winds down, the energy around 6 a.m. is starting to bubble under, and that's very thrilling for us.
Well, I know you've had an amazing career leading up to this, being able to collaborate, not only with the Motley Crues, but, Meatloaf and Scorpions and Papa Roach and Kelly Clarkson and, so many artists. What do you learn by collaborating, with other artists that you can bring back to your own music?
Well, that's a good question. I think that in every situation, in every creative situation, you learn something, or at least you should. If you don't, then you're probably not being as creative as you think you are. But I think that what I've learned is that no matter what it is, no matter whether it's country music or pop music or metal or hard rock, the aim is always the same. The aim is to find honesty in what you do, to find sincerity in what you do, and to allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to reveal things about yourself that you haven't up until then, and to do it in a meaningful and hopefully poetic way. And that really is what we as music fans look for, no matter who our idols are, no matter who it is we're listening for. We are wanting to learn things about that person or that artist or that rock band. We're wanting to discover things about them that we didn't know up until then. And then, of course, to be entertained by them, and that's just the common goal no matter what it is you're doing. And I would say that every project that I go into, that's always my focus. Find that place where you can feel safe enough to be vulnerable and be honest, and be as honest as you can with whatever it is you're doing.
Well, I know, again, seeing you on stage at iHeart the other night, the thrill to bring this music to the live stage and see the fans' reaction is something new to the band. I know you've announced your first big tour for next year. How important is that to complete the cycle and really make this a band that performs live and not just record?
It is literally the most important thing now. We have... obviously we have not been able to do much touring because logistically it's very difficult with the three of our careers being so crazy. And quite frankly, the connection that we've made with the fans has just been so wonderful over the years. And they've been very patient, but they've also made it very clear that they want us out there touring. And the fact that we haven't toured is not for a lack of us wanting to. And so we're just thrilled that we're finally able to do it. It's very important to 6 a.m. that we do finally get out and bring all three of these records to life for our fans. We've just made it a point that now any chance we get, any window of time where the three of us can do it, we are going to do it. And we're so looking forward to doing this tour in April of next year, and we're thrilled that Apocalyptic is going to be joining us. They're just such an incredible band, and like 6 a.m., they what we love about them is they approach music in a very unusual and unique way, and they interpret music differently than most people do, and that excites us, and we think it's going to make for an incredibly exciting night of music.
Well, I know that years ago when Motley Crue made that switch to getting off Elektra and the, quote, major label system and, really empowering themselves to have their own independent situation now with 11/7 and Alan Kovac and everybody. I know that gives you guys complete creative freedom. What advantages do you see out there in the independent world for artists to really be able to pursue their dreams and not give up the control and the profitability of the art they make?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad that you mentioned 11/7 and Alan Kovac, because Alan is a model of how I feel independent music is the future of rock and roll. It is the future of music, because he and his label have been so supportive and so inspiring for 6 a.m. And 6 a.m. is not an easy band. You know, it's not an easy project. And their belief in us and their trust in us to give us the creative freedom that we need in order to really come to life has been invaluable. And I've worked with a lot of labels, you know, as a producer and as an artist, and we could not be more grateful for the support that we've gotten from Alan and from 11/7. The conversations that we have and the way that he doesn't focus on, what are our first week numbers? He focuses on, are you guys making the best record that you can make? You guys be creative. You discover new territory. You guys make the best record you can make. I will help, find your audience. We will work this record till the end. And that's just a dream come true for any band. And it's something that most bands never get the luxury of having. So the three of us are just incredibly grateful to be on 11/7. And, to hear bands praising their label is not something you hear very often these days. So it really holds a lot of gravity to us.
Well, we're so excited about the new album. Look forward to the live tour and can't wait for more future music from 6 a.m. and James Michael. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's good to talk to you again.